The first ever AI summit being hosted in Britain. Apart from the benefits, the world is slowly yet steadily taking cognizance of the risks involving artificial intelligence. The United Kingdom hosted the world's first global artificial intelligence safety summit with 28 countries in attendance. UK, US, EU, Australia, India and China have all agreed that artificial intelligence poses a potentially catastrophic risk to humanity. 28 governments signed a Bletchley Declaration on the first day of the AI Safety Summit. The Bletchley Declaration is a landmark agreement for countries to cooperate on evaluating the risks of AI. This AI summit, which is the brainchild of UK's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, aims at focusing on international priorities for artificial intelligence. Now, Elon Musk and other tech giants have also attended this summit and provided their inputs too. Musk brought about the idea of establishing a quote-unquote third-party referee for companies that are developing AI, so that it could sound an alarm when risks develop further. Rishi Sunak had earlier made an announcement that the world's first AI Safety Institute will be set up in Britain to examine, evaluate and even test new types of AI. These inputs will be used to update national and international policy making decisions as well. And before I bring in my guest today, let me also play out some reactions that have come in from the summit.
That we've been able to convene such a wide range of people, including not just the US, but also the EU and China, to come together today. Dozens of countries signing the first ever declaration of its sort, saying that we need to develop a shared understanding of the risks that frontier AI technology poses and work together to develop our understanding of them and then how to manage them. We can't expect these companies to mark their own homework. Now that has to be the responsibility of governments. That's why I've created the AI Safety Institute here in the UK, which I hope can be a globally leading institute to research the safety of these models. But then, as the companies have already done, is give access to the UK to look at these models before they're released, to work with them on that, so that we can do the testing that is necessary to make sure that we are keeping our citizens and everyone at home safe. It has to be governments or external people who do that work.
All right, let's try and take this discussion forward. And for that, let me introduce my guest today. I'm joined in by Sultan Meghji, who's joining me live from St. Louis, Missouri. He's the Adjunct Associate Professor of Engineering at Duke University with special focus on AI, Web3 and cybersecurity. Many thanks to you, Sultan, for joining in. Now, the UK's Technology Secretary has said that for the first time, we now have countries agreeing that we need to look not just independently, but also collectively at the risks around frontier AI. How do you weigh in on the Bletchley Summit communique?
Well, this is the first of its kind agreement and absolutely fantastic to see this kind of international collaboration. The challenge is, of course, going to be what it means when you take these declarations back to the countries in question. Here in the United States, for example, the agreement carries very little weight because the US Congress is not going to be passing any new laws that would follow on to the Bletchley Declaration. And a lot of the tech companies here in the US are just going to keep doing what they've been doing. I think that's especially true not just in the US, but also in China. And so while it's, I think, a great press release and is a wonderful thing to see this kind of collaboration, the actual impacts, I think, are going to be rather muted.
All right. Now, what happens to concerns of those countries, majorly from the South, the global South, that are more in favor of open source? Sultan, what happens to those countries which are in favor of open source technology? Do you think that this platform was able, or the summit was able to address those concerns?
No, and in fact, I think it in many ways caused quite a challenge because some of the language that came out of it was fairly hostile to open source technologies, which is how the internet works and is a key component to the technical development in a variety of different areas, not just artificial intelligence. I think anyone who says that there's some sort of conflict between open source and good regulation or good controls fundamentally doesn't actually understand the open source community or how the entire technology universe of our civilization, especially in the global South, actually works.
Right. Sultan, my last question. The Bletchley Summit has happened just days after the US president signed an executive order that was, of course, ensuring responsible AI development. How do you weigh in on the UK-US AI safety partnership? That too, with China also now joining in on the rulemaking.
It's going to be very interesting to see how this all hashes out, because between the Bletchley Summit, which is a bit of a global agreement, and then the independent actions inside of China, which has its own AI governance program, as well as the US, which is trying to establish an AI governance program, it's going to be messy. And I think we're not going to see a lot of actual action for a few years. The question is, will AI development continue to outpace all of these processes? Or will we somehow, balance these various pieces out? I think it's too early to tell, but I also think that for the next year or so, it's not actually that relevant.